Hello everyone, and welcome to Game Ideas number 3. A very infrequent series of mine where I, throw out some random game ideas and see what you guys think. Because, living in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, I have a lot of time on my hands. Okay, so, this week on Game Ideas, I really spent a lot of work into this and thought, what would be awesome? Because I was playing a bit of Grim Eclipse earlier today, a RWBY RPG. Now, hear me out on this, because I know some of you are already clicking off this video, but if fans of RWBY out there, this is such an obvious choice for a RPG video game, because you've got different races, different factions, different kingdoms, different worlds, you've got, monsters, you've got all the Grim out in the kingdoms to kill, you've got different nations, you've got, everything. And it would just be a perfect world for a co-op RPG. You and 3 of your friends could play. Now, there's just so many opportunities that you can do. You could have an intense character customization. You could choose species, race, species, race, background, what kingdom you trained at, what skills you trained at, customization, weapons, equipment. There's a whole list of things you could do, You could play as a Faunus girl from Vacuo, speciality, long-range sniper rifles, poor background, and all of this with an actual character customization, so you can have, blue eyes, green hair, that sort of thing. And you could actually create your own perfect RWBY character, and your friends as well. And it would be incredible. You'd have quests, you could join the Atlas military force and, fight Grim. You could, be a bodyguard for the Schnee Dust Company and protect, trainloads of dust. You could join one of the, in my head the story would be you would start out as a new graduate from one of the 4 academies that you choose to be your starting location. So you could do, assault quests, assassination quests. You could just go on standard, Grim extermination quests. You could fight the White Fang. You could join the local, city police force, do quests for them. You could join a military force. You could go completely independent and just cruise around the massive open game world. There's so many things you could do with this concept. So you could have the kingdoms as safe zones where you can get, you can go to the academies for extra training or reevaluate your skills. You've got, you can have weapons shops and equipment. You can have, you could buy dust and you upgrade your weapons to have dust ammunition or standard dust or dust weaponry. You've got all sorts you could do with this concept right off the bat. Now, it would be a really big world and a big project, and it would be more of a future thing, not build it right now sort of thing. But I reckon it would be amazing. Just think about the possibilities with this world. You could have, 4 friends like your own team, RWBY. You could have, a tank with, a sword and a shield, and the sword also turns into like a hand cannon. You could have someone with a, 2 axes that are also submachine guns. The combat and the weapons would probably be the main core around this game in my head, because you take the Grim Eclipse combat system, obviously the finished, refined version of this game's combat system, and I'll probably chop it up and maybe meld it with the Arkham Asylum combat engine, because that's a really good combat engine to use for. And the weapon customization itself would be intense. So you could have, a scythe that is being, the metal's being coated in ice dust and uses fire ammunition. You could have, a double-handed axe that's also a submachine gun that uses lightning dust ammunition. You can create your own combat playstyle, and each weapon would have its own advantages and disadvantages. You could have, heavy weapons, light weapons. Just so many little things you could do with this. I mean, come on. Everyone who's played Grim Eclipse or is a fan of RWBY has always thought about their own team and actually going around the world. And with this game, you could. Under no circumstances, though, would it be an MMO, because I think having multiple players running around would just kill the experience. So it you want it just to be a small experience for you and a few of your friends to play with. You know, you'd have a big open world. You could have BioWare NPCs, if you know, BioWare style NPCs, if you didn't want to actually fight, you know, alongside your friends, or if you're like me and don't have any friends. You could have, you know, quests, you know, background storytelling. You know, you could see the little bits and pieces that would lead up to the established canon. You'd base the game, I'd probably base the game maybe 2 or 3 years before the events of Season 1, just so you don't, you know, have that problem of the kingdoms being destroyed and, you know, all that lovely stuff from Season 3. But you could do so much with the concept in itself. And if you wanted to have like a, you know, team versus team environment, you could actually have a PvP arena system. Like, you know, from Volume 3, you know, the towers. You could actually have, you know, your own duelist arenas where you and other teams could fight off and, you know, duel in like tournaments and combat, and that would be the PvP of the game. But the main game itself would just be co-op, you and your friends, you know, cruising around. It would be a lot of fun. And I think, I don't know, maybe I'm just talking out my ass, but let me know what you guys think of this concept, because I genuinely would enjoy it. Seriously, there's just so much you could do with the world in itself. You can have Vale, which is like this, you know, the sunny, nice, you know, temperate environment to fight in. Vacuo, the desert, you know, you could have like Sand Grim and Tunneling Grim and, you know, a whole different, you know, game environment. You could play Atlas, like this ruined city. You know, you could have, you know, fight Atlas, which would be a lot of verticality and, you know, buildings, environments. You could have so much you could do with just this, you know, concept in itself. Because the RWBY universe is such a big open world with the different areas and stuff that you could literally have a massive, you know, game world where you could do so much in. And if you didn't want to render the whole thing, you could just have, you know, shuttles that take you between the kingdoms. You could have villages, like in itself. You could have the 4 main kingdoms, and you could have villages and safe houses and strongholds outside the kingdoms, you know, living outside the borders. You could have, you know, areas of grim wasteland where you just fight endless grim. You could, you know, as I said, you could do so much with this little concept just within itself. But as I say, this is just, you know, this was me coming up with this idea early this morning and deciding to make this video. So I could be talking out of my ass, and I could not be. So, you know, let me know, because I genuinely think this would be great. You know, you could have your, as I said, you know, you have your own combat. You know, you have this game sort of fun, fast-flowing combat system. You could have, you know, multiple friends with different playstyles. Each of you, your semblances would probably be quite hard to implement all the different versions, but I think, personally, I'd love it if the semblances were randomized upon character creation instead of you choosing, you know, super speed and stuff, but I think that would alienate a few too many players, so you probably wouldn't add that in. But yeah, let me know if I'm talking out my ass, or if you'd actually like to see this game in the comments below. So, thank you very much for watching, guys, if you did. Thank you for listening to my mad ranting ideas. And hopefully one day in the future, this game could exist. And until that time, until that day, I will see you all again another time.